Sometimes it's hard to really motivate yourself and to have a regular practice in film photography as in so many other creative practices. One way to go about it is to make sure that you always have a little camera in your bag, that you never leave the home without a camera. So I've been on a mission to really find the right camera to make sure there is something in my bag every day. And today, I put the Rollei 35, this unbearably cute and tiny little thing, to the test. Can it fit my lifestyle? And can it fit my I'm just going around the block bag? Hi, I'm M for Film. And on this channel, I bring two things that I'm really passionate about: anthropology and film photography. They actually go hand in hand together in asking questions about representations, how we picture the world around us, and what do those pictures tell about not only the people or the things we photograph, but also about ourselves. How can we improve those pictures not only in an aesthetical way, but also in a more responsible way toward the world? Today, I'm reviewing the Rollei 35 as a potential daily companion. And I've been on a mission to find a daily photographic companion to put in my bag and make sure that I take at least one picture every day, because it matters not only to improve yourself as a photographer in artistic or aesthetical terms, as we often put it, but also to find your way toward a more responsible way to take pictures and to picture the world. Let me explain. If you take pictures every day, sure, you're going to know your gear better, you're going to know the technical aspects better, you're going to get familiar with the practice a little bit better. But practice is never too far aside from theory. So by taking pictures every day of your everyday life rather than other people's lives, so for example, when you have an event or you're traveling to another place and you're picturing people you've never seen before, cultures you hardly know about, what having a daily practice does, having a camera in your bag every day, forces you to look into your world rather into other worlds. And what it does is that you become much more attuned to the way you represent things. What are your pictures saying about what you see every day? What are they saying about the world you represent? What are they saying about the photographer behind the camera? Because a camera is never ever blind. Let's see if the Rollei camera can be this daily companion to make sure you're more attuned to your daily life and the everyday world surrounding you. The Rollei 35 is a mini viewfinder that was produced between the 1960s and way up to 2015, if you can imagine the popularity of this camera. It was originally produced in Germany, but also in Singapore, and it comes with this beautiful Carl Zeiss lens, a Tessar 40mm lens. It opens up to 3.5. For this model, other models open up to all the way up to 2.8. The kind of curious thing about this camera is that the lens actually retracts and pulls out. So here it's locked in position. Let me show you again. I'm going to release it with that button here. So this is how it's going to look in your bag, retracted. And then you're going to pull it out and turn it to the, sorry, I didn't pull it out fully. And then you're going to turn it to the side, and that's it. Now it's locked in place. Next, you're going to measure the distance with that wheel, which, as you can see, is measured in feet. You can turn the camera. Here you can measure things in the metric system. There might be other models of the camera available out there where atop of the wheel you would have like the metric system, and imperial system would be at the bottom. I don't know about that, but if you were to look into this camera on eBay and other sites, I would definitely check that if you think that's going to be a problem for you. Now, it may totally not be a problem. You know, most of the people using viewfinders just eyeball it. Here you have the meter cell, which doesn't work. It works with a battery that is not very widespread anymore, that has been discontinued. I live in Cambodia, so those batteries are still available. The problem that I have is that I didn't check when the camera came in, but I don't have actually the cover for the battery. So that means that even if I do put a battery here where the film goes, I'm not going to be able to secure it with a cover which has the electric system to make it work. So I can't use the electric measure. But that's not a problem, really. It just requires you to get familiar with metering, to know your light, to understand it. And that's a skill that takes time to develop, but which I think is part of the practice of film photography. So that shouldn't be a problem. Worst case scenario, I mean, not even worst case, just basic scenario, you can take your smartphone and upload an app such as Light, I think it's called Light Meter. Here you have the wheels, and that wheel is just a reminder of the kind of film that you put in, color, negative, slides, etc. But you're going to turn this wheel also to use it for shutter speed, 500 to 2 of a second. And B, you're going to be able to measure the depth of field. It goes from 22 all the way, as I say, to 3.5. Quite a nice shallow depth of field. 3.5 is a good number for such a small camera. This is also where you're going to set up your ISO number according to your film. You're now ready to shoot. So you have your shutter speed, your depth of field covered, and you make sure you have your lens out, and now you're ready to shoot here. You're going to put your film here by releasing this button so that you can open the back. There are other reviews that are very well done and that go into detail of how to load the camera. So I'll put some links down in the description so that you're covered if you just got that camera yourself, or if you're considering getting it. If you're considering getting it, there are a few reviews, and there's also a nice article written by a casual photophile where they basically go through the different versions of this camera. I have the Rollei 35, but there are quite a few iterations of this camera, so you want to make sure to look into the different options before you hit eBay or any other website selling those cameras, just to make sure you have the right one. When I got it, I think it was about 5 years ago, I was getting back in film camera, hoping to get back into film camera where I was, and that meant that I didn't have my medium format camera, which is an RX-CM, which I have back home, but I was in my other home. I lived between several continents. And so, it's always a question of what do I have where. And so I didn't have a film camera with me, and I really wanted to go back into the practice. And so I looked into that camera and I saw it on Etsy, and it was so beautiful. I mean, look at this design. That's really one of the pros of this camera. To me, it looks like one of those Swiss watches where you can see the inside of a watch. I just love it. It was just irresistible, and that was kind of a problem because I bought it on Etsy. It was a restored camera, but I think I would rather have bought it from someone on eBay where you can see that they clearly have experience with restoring cameras. They sell hundreds of them, and they have good reviews, because the problem is that this person was selling these cameras and a few cameras, but a lot of other things, vintage. And it was really pricey. I think I got it for 200, which or 150 actually, I think, which is actually not that pricey for this particular camera in black because it's quite rare apparently. But that didn't matter really to me. And the restoring wasn't really done, very nicely. You can see a lot of spots here. You can see that the painting here is falling apart. And as I said, I don't have a cap for the batteries. That's definitely something you want to check if you want to use the meter. If you don't, the light meter, if you don't want to use it, then you're fine. But it's just about really knowing, and also the back slides off whether this is locked up or not. And also I think this doesn't always work. So basically knowing the number of shots you have is not always accurate. I don't regret buying it. I love having it, but I wish I had put more effort when I bought it at the time, a little bit more research. And I think that if you're considering buying it, or any other camera for that matter, you should really go about your research and ask the questions that you should be asking. In this case, does the lens retract well and pulls back? You might be interested in the metric imperial system. You might be interested in the meter. Does it work? Does it have a battery? Is it converted? Does it have like the battery cap? All those things. And then make sure you give it a good try. One thing you have to know also, so I started using this camera and then I sort of stopped using it after a few rolls of films. There was nothing wrong with it, but it's a viewfinder. So that means that the viewfinder here is just a framing for your picture. And I like basically a rangefinder or a camera that shows you going in and out of blur. I like seeing the focus when I take a picture. It tells me that I'm actually taking a picture. I didn't feel good about the viewfinder. This was my first viewfinder, and I didn't feel good about just looking into this camera and not knowing what was going on. That said, I have since taken up that camera much more often than I was a few years ago. And it's just, about learning how to, adapt a little bit to your own camera. And I'm fine with that now, with the fact that it's just a viewfinder. It's just a framing for your picture. I'm actually fine with that. I think it has also a plus side, which is, you can take your picture really fast. Now that I'm using it on a more regular basis and making sure it's always in one of my bags in everyday life, I actually learned to really like this camera. It's so compact and tiny. You really have zero excuse for not having it in your bag every single day. And as I said, I love the design. It's beautiful. It kind of really takes some great photos. I mean, I think it's Charles Yi from Singapore who has a video with his friend, and they're comparing it to a Leica, and I think that a few other people have discussed that. Japan Camera Hunter also has an article comparing it to a Leica Minilux. So it's definitely a high quality camera. I haven't been able to take that many great pictures with it, but I'm continuing to take pictures. So I'll put down a link to my Flickr account where I always have albums of cameras that I'm taking pictures with. I spoke about the viewfinder and how that was something negative at the beginning with me, but how I actually got to like it. And that's about it. So that's really something that I would look into if I was, getting started in film photography, or getting a little bit more serious about it, but still not wanting to have like a full DSLR in my bag. You have like so many options. You're in full control of like shutter speed, depth of field, metering. And now let's see if it fits my around the block bag. I don't have a cap for that camera. If you find one with a cap, that's definitely a plus, because you're never going to find something that small to fit it. And I basically wrap it in sock. Phone, wallet, keys, earbuds, sunglasses, and the thing. So it all fits well and it's perfect. So that's usually what I do when, I'm just about to walk my dog. I just want to get a snack around the corner, or I'm going to get a few things from the mini mart. That's basically the bag that I would carry on. And I do that because I see some amazing photographs. For example, on Instagram, I'm really inspired by this kind of photographers who just take pictures of everyday life at all times. And that's something that I'm really looking into getting better and that I'm starting to do thanks to this little Rollei 35. And while I'm not really a 35 millimeter girl, I think that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I do medium format every weekend, or when, I go for a full hour or afternoon or day of photography, but then at least I still have this little person in my bag every day to keep me company and be here to tell me, hey, I'm in your bag, take me out, we're going to take pictures. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you're yourself getting ready to get a small camera like the Rollei 35 or any other camera for that matter to fit into your everyday bag and make sure you take pictures every day. And let me know if that's something you're doing or looking into doing, and I'll keep on posting videos about cameras that I want to make sure are in my bag every day or on a regular basis. But I'm also going to start a new series which is basically going to think about representations and think with anthropologists about how we take pictures and how that can improve not only our photographs in aesthetical terms, but also in ethical terms. I hope you stay tuned, and if you have any comments, please let me know. This is only my second video, so I'm looking for suggestions and feedback. Have a lovely day, evening, wherever you are. It was nice to unfortunately not have met you, but at least imagine you, and I hope I see more of you soon. Bye!